I think it was probably shocking to me, and you're a Lakers fan, and I don't know if it's shocking to you or not, but yesterday we got the news that the Lakers have sold like the franchise
Majority
majority,
stake of their team. Yeah.
and it really just like it really that was shocking news to me. But really, what I wanted to figure out was like, why are the owners selling right now? Like, what is going on, and what did you make of like the news that the Lakers, so the Bus family, Genie Bus, like sold the Lakers?
Yeah. So just some background. The Bus family has been somewhat of an owner of the Lakers for the last 46 years. They won 11 championships, but they did just sell. I don't majority stake. I don't know what that exact number is, but it was evaluated at $10 billion, which is just outrageous. They did sell that to the current owner of the Dodgers, Mark Walter. Um, what I make of it is, yes, I was surprised. Um, I feel like historic teams like this, like we did just have the Celtics get sold, which was also shocking. And now the Lakers to do the same thing. But I think that there's a couple things that to take into account here outside of like how I feel about the move for the Lakers doing this as like a from like a team perspective. I think people sell obviously you're making it's anytime you purchase any sports team, as long as you could even be a horrible owner, you're still going to make money on it when you sell it. So it's just an automatic profit at this point. Um, Following the Lakers over the years, it kind of felt like there was times where Jeannie Buss didn't really want to dish out the type of money for players that the Lakers had money for. I saw somewhere that they spent like the seventh most amount of money um, on players, but that seems low for a team and for a brand and for a franchise that is one of the most significant in the world in sports, right? I feel like that they should be in that top 3 to 5 range. So I think that that's partially why is like she wanted to see the Lakers continued success, and she was not going to be the one that's willing to spend that type of bread on players. The future of the Lakers completely changed this season, obviously, when they got Luca. So now, from more of like a team perspective, I think this was the best thing that they could have done. The guy that they sold the Lakers to, Mark Walter, um, he's part owner of the Dodgers, Sparks, Chelsea FC, and the Cadillac Formula One team. He took over the Dodgers, and since he's done that, they've been one of the most successful teams in the MLB, and
True.
they've won 2 World Series. And he's not afraid to dish out money. It
Yeah.
feels like the Dodgers get the best players every single season, every single off season, and majority of that is because one, they're the Dodgers, they're in LA, and they spend the bread. So I think that's a great sign for the Lakers moving forward. Is it looks like they're going to be a willingness to spend, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think Jeannie realized I'm probably not going to be the one that's going to be willing to spend this bread, and I'm going to make $10 billion on this sale. So yeah, I think that's probably why.
Yeah, I just think it's just so interesting. Like the time, so in 2010, the average NBA team was worth $370 million. In 2025, the average NBA team is worth $3.8 billion.
It's
So
insane.
that jump is like, let alone insane. And it's probably even higher than that with like some of the franchises that have what they have sold for, and what the rumor has been for like that Bill Simmons has put out that the two teams that have been added in, like if you were to put one in Vegas and Seattle, you would need $5 billion to be able to do it. So it might be even higher than that 3.8 billion evaluation currently. Um, and then the list of the teams that have sold majority ownership stake over the last, like, it seems like, so in 2021, the NBA started allowing private equity firms to buy minority sale stakes in teams like up to 20 and 30%. But it seems like even since they've made that change, that the majority has been sold as well. So the Phoenix Suns have been sold to Matt Ishbia. Previous owner Robert Sarver sold for $4 billion. Minnesota Timberwolves sold to Mark Lore, tech entrepreneur, and Alex Rodriguez. Previous owner Glenn Taylor, valued around $1.5 billion. I mean, they got a steal on that team.
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets, Gabe Plotkin, hedge fund manager, and Rick Schnall, private equity exec. Obviously, Michael Jordan was the previous owner for that. They sold that for $3 billion. Michael Jordan did. Good for him. And then a big notable one that I think shocked everybody like 2 seasons ago was the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban sold majority stake to the Allison and Dumont family, which is like the Vegas family, and sold for $3.5 billion. And one thing that I want to highlight, and then whatever the Celtics are going to sell for, one thing that I really want to talk about real quick and get your opinion on is when these sales happen, the previous owner is then called as they're still going to be control of like basketball operations. That was a big one with Mark Cuban. Whenever he sold, he's like, but he's still going to be making all the decisions. We found out very quickly that that's not the case in any way, shape, or form. And you kind of think that it's like when a billionaire buys a business, let's say, or whatever,
They want to make the decisions.
they
Yeah.
they step in and immediately want to start doing things their way. There's a reason they're a billionaire. There's a reason why they've been so successful, is because they've done things their way. And they're not going to probably adopt the Mark Cuban way of doing things, or the Jeannie Buss way of doing things, or the Celtics owner of doing things. So why is that a highlighted point when it seems like over the last few years that hasn't been the case when reported on? When somebody's like, they're going to still be in charge of basketball operations, and then when it fully plays out, it turns out that they're not in charge of basketball operations in any way, shape, or form.
I feel like it's kind of just like a mute point and something that these organizations are saying. I don't know, maybe if like fans care about it, like because of the Lakers, obviously, like I said, somebody in the Buss family has been owner for 46 years. So there could be a very loyal part of the Laker fan base that is like, okay, well, we still want to see the Buss family part of this, but I'm kind of getting the sense that they don't really care about that. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just an ego perspective type thing for the family that sold it, or the
Yeah,
person that
like
sold it. It's like,
make this needs to be a part of the press release. Like
yeah,
I need this part of the press release. So maybe it's to like let the fans down easier or something. I don't know exactly. But I just think it's an interesting thing that always gets brought up. And it's like, well, Mark Cuban said that, or it was said. And then Mark Cuban did like an interview where he was like, well, I'm not in charge of any basketball operations in any way, shape, or form. So it's
yeah,
like, why was that reported on then? And I could see that being a similar situation to this, where I texted you, I was like, I'm not gonna say what I actually said. Um, the Lakers just got sold, and you're like, yeah, but the Genie Bus will still like remain in power, or something along those lines. I
yeah.
forget what
She
you
will
said.
still be reportedly retaining her governorship of the Lakers.
And with that, that's where I was like, red flag immediately went off. I was
Yeah,
like, like, is that actually what's going to happen? Because it seems like that's not been the case over the years. But I guess we'll see.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna hold true either. I can't see a scenario where a billionaire buys a team and owns majority stock in it and doesn't want to make the final call, especially a guy like this. Like, it's not like the Lakers just sold to some random private equity firm that is just now looking to get into like sports management, sports ownership. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. Chelsea has spent tons of money on players. The Dodgers have spent tons of money on players. Like, I mentioned earlier that he's part of the Cadillac Formula One team. Like, those are significant dollars spent and the significant decisions that are made. And I have a hard time believing that he's just going to dish that off to Jeannie Buss and continue to let her do her thing when he's had success in other places with other teams already.
I completely agree. Um, Another point that I just wanted to talk about is like how this will like change things, because there has been a significant shift in how the NBA is viewed. No matter what side, no matter if you're a hater on it, which I would deem myself as, or you love the NBA and they could do no wrong, you can't deny the fact that the relevance of the NBA has been dwindling over the last few years. And it makes me interested of why some of these long-term owners of these franchises have decided to start to get out around this time. The first thing that you can say is like, well, they're business people, and this is the biggest return on probably any investment that you could ever have. Like,
Yeah.
I spent $300 million on this, and I can sell it for $5 billion. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Dollars and cents. Also, on the same side of things, these guys probably are pretty loaded and don't need like that
The Buss
type
family
of
doesn't need
money.
money.
That type of money is like obsolete at that point. Like, you own a franchise. That is like the most important thing that you could possibly have if you love it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? I want to own an NFL team or a basketball team. Like, that's sick.
Yeah.
And so the way I view it is like how it changes things is like what I have, because I have like given reasons why like the NBA is like struggling or whatever. Really, what I'm starting to think of it is like it is starting to feel less of the owners back in the 90s, 2000s, and then even the two early like 2010s. The owners felt like it was almost like a passion project of theirs where they had the opportunity to buy a team and like bring a championship to a city. Now the shift has gotten to the point of like where it feels less cultural and more corporate, and it makes sense why it feels that way because of the type of people that are getting involved with the ownership of these teams. It's like private equity firms, hedge fund guys,
Yeah.
tech CEOs, like things like that, where it's like I'm not even fully like convinced that a lot of these guys even care about like what the sport of basketball is. They just really care about the opportunity to flip this investment like to something bigger. Um, so they're like I said, they're viewing more like NBA teams as like assets rather than like passion projects. Where I felt like a lot of the owners, that's how they viewed their teams like back in the day.
I think there's probably some truth to that in certain cases. Um, I think there's other ones that I know that the owner of the Mets was like actually a Mets fan and he
Yeah,
bought the Mets because he was a fan and he like wanted to bring them back to like or like keep them relevant, bring them back to relevancy, whatever. Um, like I said at
that's
the
cool.
beginning of this, I would agree with you more, but this guy already has, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but this guy already owns other sports teams. So like it's you don't I feel like you don't just buy five
This
sports.
isn't hyper specific to the Lakers. This
Oh,
is just
okay,
in
fair,
general.
fair.
You
Okay,
have to look at like these people who have owned like Mark Cuban owned the Mavericks for 20 years. The Buss family has owned the Lakers
yeah,
forever. What is different this time to be like, we need to get out. Like, we need to get out of this investment. And obviously the return is there, but then at the same time, like you have then lost. Like, when is the next time the Los Angeles Lakers will be up for sale? In our lifetime? Like, I have no idea.
probably not for a
That's what
long ass time because
that's what I mean.
these teams are always going to be making money no matter what. The only way that this ends up not getting sold again is if, like, I mean, we've never really seen a pro sports team not produce and gain value at a high level. And so, if anything, it feels like people would be selling if they feel like they can't bring as much value, or if they're holding it back, or they don't want to spend the money on the team. But then on the flip side, like, there's all these owners that you see that are just holding on for dear life to teams that they should sell, right? Like, the owner of the Bears should 100% give up ownership. She's like, what, Virginia McCaskey? She's like 97 years old. At that point, you're almost doing them a disservice, because what is really happening? Like, are you willing to spend money on this team? Which we've seen that a little bit more recently, but like, my biggest thing is,
I'm just saying, me personally, and sorry to cut you off, but if I had the opportunity, like if I had a sports team, I would never let it go ever.
no, because we also care about sports more
Yeah.
than, and
Well,
I can't sit here
I'll
and
let
say
you
that
know.
the Bus family doesn't, because they
If
clearly do.
listen, if I was a billionaire and had a sports team, I would not care about sports, and I would be the biggest asshole of all time. So, like, that's where you're wrong. Like, I would literally just literally what I would do is I would bring Instagram models to basketball games and sit courtside. That's what I would do.
That's pretty much
You
what
know I'm
A-Rod
right.
does.
And you know I'm right. You're laughing.
That's what A-Rod does.
But you know I'm dead serious.
Bro, go look at Minnesota Timberwolves games. You will see A-Rod sitting courtside with an absolute smoke show.
Yeah, that is the reason why I would never get rid of a team ever. So go ahead, keep going.
But what I was gonna say is, I think at the end of the day, I don't care as much who the team gets sold to, as long as they're willing to, like, put forth the effort and try to make that team better. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like there's moments where teams get sold, and maybe that's just because the franchises themselves are dog shit. Like, Michael Jordan was a horrible owner, and it felt like he didn't even necessarily care about the Hornets. He sold it, and maybe things are getting a little bit better, but as long as somebody cares and is willing to put in the effort, I'm totally fine. Like, the Suns owner came in, and when he bought that team and was like, all right, we're going all in. We're going to try and do whatever it takes to win an NBA title. That's like, as even if it doesn't work, I fully respect that, because you're trying to improve your team. And as a fan, that's all that I would care about.
I guess it's like a double-edged, like, that feels like a double-edged sword a little bit, in the sense, because like he came in and did all that and he looks like a complete idiot. Like,
Right, 100%. And it might not end well, but if I'm a fan and I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, the Suns haven't been good since Charles Barkley left. Just kidding. They were good with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and all those guys.
they
But
also
even
played in
then,
the
that was like
finals in the last 5 years.
right. And but they have gone backwards since that finals appearance. And this guy came in and was like, all right, let's go do this. Let's bring in guys. Let's get better. That's what I care about the most as a fan, rather than somebody that's just sitting on their hands, not spending money, not trying to improve the current state of the team.
Completely fair. Completely fair. So I guess this, I feel like the conversation's over a little bit, but do you think that there is a reason why these like long-term owners of the sports teams are deciding to get out at this time? Like, do you think they don't like the direction of like where the NBA is going, or do you think it's literally just like a dollars and cents situation where it's like, we need to cash out on this investment? We made more money than we could have ever imagined.
I feel like it's probably a combination of a few things. I'm speaking specifically for the Lakers. Willingness to spend money. Anytime you get a $10 billion evaluation of your team, I feel like that's probably a pretty hard opportunity to pass up. They'll still always be associated with the franchise no matter what, because of how long they were the owners. And then maybe it's just really fucking hard to own a team, and they're like, we could get $10 billion for this, and I think we might just want to kind of head out.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't
Hey,
know. I don't
I
know
don't
either. I
know.
really don't have like a good answer because I would have a really okay. If somebody gave me a $10 billion valuation, that's one thing. But at the same time, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I'm the majority owner of the Lakers. We just got um, a $10 billion valuation. Unless I genuinely thought that I could do no more to help the franchise, I would hold on as ownership.
I would hold on personally too. I think that like no matter what TV deal they sign, blah blah blah, this that and the third. I just think that to step away from owning a one of 30, how many NBA teams there are there? 31, 32.
30, 32.
To step away from owning one of 32 and of anything, like something's up. So I think that like they just don't appreciate the direction of that Adam Silver has put the NBA in. That's what I personally think. I have not been an Adam Silver fan. I think that he's bad at his job. I don't care what TV deal sign. I don't care how much money the league is quote unquote making it at any point. Like it has whatever has been going on has the product of the NBA and everything going on with it has significantly decreased in the last like since COVID because we have had like classic finals from like 2019 to like 20 to like the 90s. Like this has been a relatively new development over the last 5 years. This isn't like the NBA has been falling off forever. Like, no, from like the 90s, from when I was in the 90s to like 2019, I'd say, even like when Kawhi won, I think the
Yeah.
NBA was like relatively in a good place. So that's just what I think. That's my takeaway. And it just seems like it's been falling off a cliff ever since.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it's as good of a product as it once was in that era that you were just mentioning.
I just spit it. Good girl,